Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. We're on lecture 7.5, and what I really want to do here is you've been learning about classical conditioning, and it always seems like a geeky little thing when you learn these things in books, but this stuff in the behaviorism chapter, it continues to have wide relevance today. And so that's part of what I want you to get from this lecture is how people are using classical conditioning every day, how you see it every single day, and how they're using it specifically to persuade you to do certain things. And so let's here we go. Lecture 7.5, Persuasion by Association. This is going to be relevant for a couple of things. One is just to get, a better understanding of the relevance of classical conditioning in general, but also I'm sort of talking to you guys now as public service announcement creators. I'm hoping you're kind of in the throes of starting to come up with ideas for your public service announcements, and I want you to understand the power of emotional association. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's jump into it here. There's really just one slide proper that'll be part of this lecture. I'm going to go to YouTube. We're going to do some YouTubing together in just a moment. Is that a... Yeah, we'll say that's a verb, YouTubing. All right. So what am I showing here? What I'm showing you here is what is sometimes called the two routes to persuasion. If you want to persuade people of something, that they should believe something, there's two general ways we know that people do that. Something we call the central route to persuasion versus the peripheral route to persuasion. The central route is represented by things like, lectures to some extent, like what I'm doing with you right now, but also like a TED Talk. And if you want to, an example, I do Jordan's Norway TEDx. You'll see an example where I'm trying to convince people of something in that talk. And I want them to believe, I want them to think of the world a certain way, the way I do. And so how do I do that? Well, in the context of a TED Talk, if we can consider some of these things, first of all, who goes to these TED events? Well, they're people who enjoy somebody bringing their mind on a little journey. They're motivated, they're analytical, they want to kind of think along with the person. And in fact, that's reflected with the process too. They're willing to engage a lot of effort, to listen carefully, to think with you, to evaluate, do I believe what that person said or not? Do I disagree with that claim or am I with that claim? So they're very engaged. And if you can take an audience that's that sort of audience, a motivated, engaged audience, and if you can give them a very rational argument, then potentially you can change their opinion about something. And if you do, quite often that leads to lasting change. So, for example, I was convinced by arguments around essentially vegetarianism. I was against animal research before I was a vegetarian, and people would say, how can you hold that and not be a vegetarian? And as I engaged with the literature on vegetarianism in a highly motivated, analytical way, listening very carefully to the arguments, I was left with the behavior that's the right way to be. In fact, I think veganism is the right way to be. I'm trying to get there. But that's lasting at it. This has been decades where I've believed this is true. Once I believed it, I didn't unbelieve it. I just kind of thought that's the right way. I've thought about it deeply. I've come to that. So this is the way we think about persuading people, via the rational arguments, i.e. the frontal lobes, i.e. the conscious mind, using the conscious mind, talking to the other person's conscious mind, trying to convince them of the rationality of some way of being. Okay. That's all well and good, but in fact, most people who are trying to persuade you of things are not doing it that way. They're doing it this way, through the peripheral route. So what's the classic example, just so you have a concrete example as we go through? The classic example would be television ads. So imagine you're watching television. There's some show that you're watching. That's why you're watching TV. But every now and then the show stops and an ad is presented. you're not watching that ad like, oh, I want to watch this very carefully. I want to see everything they see if I agree with it or not. No, you're just sitting there kind of going, go ahead, hit me with the ad. So you're not very motivated. You're not very analytical. You're not expending a lot of effort in thinking about the ad. And therefore, in these contexts, we know that people can be persuaded by cues outside of the message. So the message is, what's actually being said. But the cues outside of the message are often related to feelings, emotional states that you're producing that you want to associate with your message. Association, classical conditioning, so we're going to use some of the principles of classical conditioning in a slightly different form, but the core principle will be the same to persuade people, and this produces temporary changes in attitude. But even temporary, what most advertisers want is the next time you go shopping, they want to have had an impact on what brand you're likely to choose. So they're not looking to change your course for life per se. They're trying to affect your decisions that you make day by day. Okay. So this all sounds kind of abstract. What we're going to do now is spend some time actually experiencing people using the peripheral route. I'm going to do it first in the context of ads, and then I'm going to do it in the context of a public service announcement that I think is a really powerful one, and so that we can connect it with your public service announcement as well. Okay. So let's leave here and go to ads, and that's the public service announcement. We'll come back to that. So I had just typed this best commercial of all time, best commercials of all time. And we've got some. So I've not seen these ads ever. I've not seen. So let's do the best advertisement ever. That sounds pretty good. I've not seen this. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know what it's an ad for. Let's jump in together, shall we? This is another ad, which we could talk about, but I won't worry about that. We'll go to this. Still don't know what this ad is about, but obviously a guy that's a very nice guy looking for positives and doing good things. Still have no idea what this is about. Says me totally puzzled, so this isn't what I expected. Are you feeling an emotion right now? I'm certainly feeling an emotion. So a whole lot of positive emotionality, and so far not associated with anything. I have no idea where this is going. So it's passing on. He's passing it on, right? The people he's kind to are being kind. Okay. So, I mean, this ad was so focused on the emotionality and creating the emotionality that's all they did is they tried to create an ad that made you feel good, that made you feel like the best in humanity, right? This guy represents what we all sort of wish we could be, what we wish the world was like. This is just a beautiful emotional story. And at the end, boom, Thai life insurance. What does Thai life insurance, what did they tell you about Thai life insurance? There is no central route going on here, right? There is no, here's why you should do it. We have the lowest rates. We have the best whatever, but nothing. It's like, you know that great feeling you have? Associate with our company. And when you see that Thai life insurance, we hope that you'll feel that sort of positivity. And so they're creating an association between their company, the Bell, and a response. The response that you had to that ad, right? Which was the positive and emotional response. They want you to associate that with their name. And that will make you, when you're looking for insurance, say, I like Thai life. And the claim is you would know why, because this isn't coming from your frontal lobes. This is talking to your limbic system. This is talking to the home where emotionality lives. And in fact, most of our behaviors and preferences come from our limbic system. They don't come from rational thought. So that's who this ad is speaking to. Very, very cool. Never saw that ad before. Let's try one more. I'll just spin off one that goes from here. Actually, I won't spin off one that goes from here because it might be too likely to be similar in style. Let's do a funny one. I don't know what this is about, but we'll do funny. Okay. If you're dining out, we're in. So even this, by the way, we can do this little ad at the beginning. If you're dining out, we're in. We still have no idea what this is an ad for, but look at this picture, right? What a happy family. We got, I assume, grandpa over here and mom and dad and 2 kids and a bunch of food and smiles all around, people having a great time. This is what we all want dinner to be, and we will get dinner like this at Open Table. All we have to do is go to Open Table and we will get that. Okay. Now we could get that anywhere, right? How is Open Table in any way creating a better dining experience once we're there and around the table? It isn't, but they want to associate that feeling with their app. Okay. That wasn't really the one I meant though. Let's see what this one is. Okay, this is a real short one too, but this is a long-term care center, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's some emotionality there. We can't go through it. They went through it really quick. Let's see what's left at the end. They're giving you a little bit of information, memory care, independent living, but everything does that. Every long-term care facility. It's the images and stuff that they showed of positivity. Anyway, whatever. We didn't see those images. We went by. This is the one we'll analyze next. I have no idea what this is an ad for. We're obviously on the moon. Let's see what happens. Oh my goodness. All right, not for astronauts. There we got it. Excellent. So, humor, right? This is basically just humor. Just what you saw in me. They got me laughing and whatever. And so they want to associate Hanes baked beans with humor. They want to form that connection. And when you see that in the store, you smile. You like those beans a little bit more. Not because you consciously remember the ad. That is not the idea that you're going there and you go, oh, this is the one that had the ad with the farting astronaut. No. It's just they want to produce that connection between this, what you're seeing right now, and what you're feeling at that exact same time. They want to create that in a Pavlovian classical conditioning kind of way. Okay. Heck, just because it's fun, let's do one more because these are the best ever.
And there's your beautiful baby. Any day now.
Really? You're eating Doritos? He's eating Doritos on my ultrasound. Do you see what I have to do?
I know.
So now you see what the baby's doing. He's reaching for the Doritos.
Give me
Oh. Okay. So this is what a lot this is what a lot of ads will use, right? Is humor, because you think of humor, you're laughing, you're friendly, your body's being filled with positive hormones when you watch these things, and that's what they want to connect with Doritos. Again, they want you to have that positive feeling associated with Doritos. They haven't told us one reason why Doritos are any better than the other snack. It's not less calories. It doesn't taste better. Blah 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 blah. Nothing speaking to your frontal lobes. Just emotionality being associated with their product. Okay. Now, okay, you got the ad, you got the idea. So every day in ads, people are trying to do this to you. They are trying to persuade you to buy their products or whatnot by associating their products with emotionality because they know it works. Okay, so now let's return to your PSA, because I don't just want you to know this in a sense of oh yeah, other people do it. I want you to know it in the sense of being able to use it. That's when you really understand something. So you guys are all being asked to create PSAs for Swab the World. One of the things we're going to include in the assessment is whether you've used emotion in a powerful way in your PSA. To try to change attitudes. What does that mean? So in my opinion, for whatever reason, this is the most powerful PSA I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. Yeah, let's just go. So, just notice what this dude's doing, first of all. Tap is like, looking chill. So these are some young people that are going to tell us, sort of confess about texting in the car. But pay attention to how, their sort of emotional state and their way of talking at first.
So I just confess that I text and drive? If I get a text, I'll look at my phone. It's definitely texting. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
If anything, they're in positive mood state, kind of fun, kind of whatever.
Snapchat? I do Snapchat and drive sometimes.
Is that like making Snapchats or watching them?
Making them.
Texting is like my main form of communication.
Boredom, honestly.
And B, well, no, I guess no, it's really just A.
They're not really that embarrassed about it at all. They feel like this is just normal. Everyone does it.
I've never done it at stoplights. I've always been really good about it.
The passenger has a pretty important role driving now, where they're like, oh, red light, red light.
If someone that you like texts you, you can't just let it sit there without just knowing what they said.
So that little point, by the way, and I think this one too.
What if something exciting's happening or something happened?
So maybe something happened and I missed it. Maybe there's something exciting waiting for you. We're going to call those random rewards, and we're going to talk about how they create psychological addictions, like our addictions to our cell phones. So I'm going to put that in your back pocket for later when we do the psychological addictions module. But I just wanted you to kind of hear them say that explicitly. But again, everybody's pretty positive and happy here.
I think about it, I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I just keep doing it.
Okay. So here's going to be the shift point. All right. So we've got their sort of pre-state where it's like, yeah, I do it. Yeah, whatever, and now they're going to have an experience that is going to give them absolutely no new information about distracted driving. There is nothing that they're about to see and hear that will be anything they don't already know. But what it will do is produce a powerful emotional state in them and in you. And I want to be clear about this. When you're creating your PSA, your goal is to create an emotional state in the viewer. And one way to do that is through emotional states of the participants. So let's just watch this now.
Like when I introduce you to a friend of mine.
My name is JC.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Dash. Justin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I just really quickly want to have a chat, tell you what happened to me. I was 21 years old, driving home from my college graduation ceremony. Driver on his phone was so distracted, he turned left into the intersection at a red light. Another car, an 18-wheeler, swerved to miss him and hit my family's car.
Okay, so she's telling the story. It's going to continue. I want you to really pay attention to the emotional state of the people listening and what you're feeling.
And the resulting collision actually killed both of my parents. I spent 2 months in the hospital fighting for my own life, and then 2 more months in a rehab hospital, learning how to walk again, learning how to speak again, learning how to dress myself and how to feed myself. I live with a partially paralyzed body. I didn't have my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married.
How you feeling? I've watched this a bunch of times. I just watched it before showing it to you. And yet still, I feel it. I absolutely, like, I suspect you feel it. Do you think she feels it? Yeah.
Having sort of like met JC, because you look at JC and sort of give those same reasons.
Usually I use my phone to change a song on. I try to use it as little as possible, but
I'm not gonna look at my phone ever again. Honestly, if I have been sitting at a red light and I'll glance down to see if my mom's texting me, but the people's lives that are impacted from something that is so stupid.
I can assure you on my drive home right now, I'm not going to use my phone and drive, and I'm not going to do it when I go to work tomorrow and the next day after that until, it becomes a habit, and that just doesn't happen at all.
I know this is hard, and I'm sorry it's hard for me too, but this is real. You have the power to really actually make a difference and do something about it.
Thank you.
All right. So, what are they doing? They're taking the behavior of reaching for your phone. I'm in the car, I'm bored, I reach for the phone. But now they're adding an emotionality to that. And it's a really kind of, really sort of scary emotionality. We all get that when people are distracted, bad things can happen. We don't always realize that it's reaching for the phone that's starting that. That's the bell, right? I reach for the phone. And so what they're trying to say is, hey, when you reach for that phone, we want to associate that behavior with this emotionality, this sad, unnecessary grief and tragedy kind of feeling that we all have. They didn't tell these people, nor the people watching, anything new about distracted driving. They just let them feel the impact, odd word, of distracted driving. So what are my points to you here? 2 points. First, let's talk about your work integrated learning project and your own PSA. In this case, they're trying to save lives, as are we. I mean, they're trying to prevent unnecessary deaths through distracted driving. We're trying to literally, potentially, save some lives. But for anybody to do what we want them to do, And what we would want them to do is to, go to this website, ask for a kit to get their cheek swabbed and to have their DNA in the database. In order for them to do that, we're going to have to connect with them emotionally. We're going to have to make them understand, just like this ad does, how important this issue is. And so part of what I'm doing for you today is saying, don't just understand that people are using emotions to persuade, use it yourself. And as you do, you will gain a better, deeper understanding of how powerful it is when used for good, but also how much it's being used against you to get you to buy Doritos. Not against you, but manipulating you to do things, on an emotional level. Okay, so that's your PSA level. At the other level, just for when it comes to classical conditioning, who cares about dogs drooling to bells? The classical conditioning thing, when it's done in the lab, is a very specific sort of dry kind of process, I guess you could say. But this principle of being able to associate looking at your phone in the car with that horrible emotional feeling, that's a powerful phenomenon that we can use, again, for good or for ill, but it is being used. And so it's not as though the things you're learning in this behaviorist chapter were from the 50s and 60s and 70s and they went away. They found some very powerful things that we continue to leverage today, that society leverages, and association and persuading people through emotional association is an extremely powerful one. So I'm going to leave it there and let you think about that a little bit. And I hope next time you're in the car, put the phone away.